I'll pick up on the CO2 emissions that Chuck just talked about. And I'll go back to a book that the book club reviewed probably a year or two back. I forget the book specifically, but the author was traveling from the West Coast, I think somewhere in California, to somewhere in Russia or China for a symposium. And he was very interested in CO2 production and how we could control it. And he was able to track down how much CO2 his flight, I don't know what kind of airplane he was on, but obviously a jet, and how much CO2 that released into the atmosphere in his one-way flight from the US to Russia. And the number was, if I remember correctly, somewhere in the neighborhood of 400,000 pounds of CO2 just from that one jet flight. Now I'm in a totally solar house, and I have a little inverter that tells me how much CO2 I've saved by not using grid-based electricity. And I go out and check that. We've been in the house for 5 years, and we've saved about 500,000 pounds of CO2. So that's 5 years of a solar home against one jet flight from the US to Russia. So that kind of put it into perspective for me on how serious this problem can become. And the point he also made was that jets fly at 30, 40,000 feet, which is putting the CO2 in probably the worst possible place for it to reflect heat back and cause global warming.